Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Anati binti mahadzir, metric number 279323, and I will present an introduction to RISDA. RISDA was inaugurated by Tun Abdul Razak bin Dato' Hussein, the second former Prime Minister. RISDA is a rubber industry smallholder development authority. The term RISDA is taken from the Indian language, which means a rubber industry smallholder development authority. RISDA is a rubber industry smallholder development authority as well as a federal statutory body under the Ministry of Economic Affairs (MEA). RISDA was first established on 1 January 1973 under the authority passed by Parliament, namely the Rubber Industry Smallholder Development Authority Act. RISDA is Act 55 of 1972 and the Rubber Industry Fund Replanting Ordinance 1952. RISDA is also a body under government agency. With the establishment of RISDA, a special organisation was created to guide the smallholder sector toward economic and social progress and development. RISDA will also ensure that the country natural rubber company becomes stronger and more stable. In addition, RISDA's vision is to be a leader in the development of smallholder. Meanwhile, the vision is to form a progressive and prosperous smallholder community through plantation and commercial activities. The objective of this establishment is that a smallholder earn at least Rm 4,000 per month per family by the end of 2020. Vision, mission and objective are three of the efforts made by RISDA today to achieve organizational goals in line with the vision of 2020. In fact, with the smooth running of RISDA, it is clear that the government values the role played by the smallholder sector as an important revenue production sector in the national economy. The establishment of RISDA aims to improve the life of small rural farmers by enabling them to continue their activity in the rubber replanting industry in Malaysia. Okay, now function of RISDA. Number 1. To administer the rubber industry fund replanting established under Section 3 of the Rubber Industry Fund Replanting Ordinance 1952. And number 2, plan and implement all agricultural reform and research in the smallholder sector. Number 3, manage and successfully operate the approved plan under the provision of Part 3 of the Rubber Industry Fund Replanting Ordinance 1952. Number 4, collaborate with other agencies responsible for accelerating the process of modernization of the smallholder sector. Number 5, participate in any activity determined by the minister responsible in relation to the improvement and development of the smallholder sector. And number 6, obtain and store statistics related to the development of the smallholder sector. Number 7, implement replanting and new replanting with neutron that can produce high yield through good agronomy practices. And lastly, ensure that the smallholder sector is modernized in all aspects to improve their economic situation.
Next, I will continue about the issues and problems faced by communities in the region involved. Rubber farming is Malaysia's second largest export and it has a significant impact on the country's history. With the arrival of the first few seeds from Brazil via London, Sri Lanka and Singapore 2 centuries ago, the natural rubber business began to gain traction in Malaysia. Thailand and Indonesia, in addition to Malaysia, are the world's largest producers of natural rubber. Nearly 70% of the world's total natural rubber production is in these three countries. Rubber, like other commodities, is nonetheless subject to price volatility. Commodity prices in the worldwide market are known to be influenced by supply and demand variables. Rubber's prices are impacted by international economic, socio-political situations, currency exchange, and rubber future market speculation in addition to supply and demand variables. In 2014, Malaysian natural rubber output industry fell by 157,808 tons, like 20.69% to 68,613 tons, down from 826,421 tons in 2013. The massive flood that affect Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, Perak, Perlis and Johor have made matters worse. Okay, figure 1 show that price comparison of SMR20 and bulk latex for 2013 and 2014. Next, figure 2 show price movement of SMR20 and bulk latex like 60% in 2014. Okay, SMR20 means standard Malaysian rubbers and 20 refers to scrap rubbers like rubber press lah. Okay, latex on the other hand consists of 30% rubber particles and 65 water.
The supply of natural rubber contribute to the drop in rubber price. Natural rubber supply is determined by a number of factors including the size of natural rubber plantation that can be tapped, the number of tapping days, and the productivity of rubber clones plant as well as the market price of rubber. When the market price of rubber is high, smallholder will be intense to tap rubber plantation that had been abandoned are being recultivated, boosting the supply of natural rubber on the market. Unfavorable rubber price, on the other hand, will have an impact on rubber supply due to favor tapping days and an increase in untapped areas. Because of this situation, several tappers had to look for other work to help support their family, particularly those with school-aged children, because they couldn't afford to buy basic essential. It only adds to the strain when tappers are forced to work on others' pupil rubber's plantation and the profit must be shared, result in a loss of revenue. The rubber products will be sold to the Rubber Industry Smallholder Development Authority like RISDA once a week, and the partnership hearing will be limited to RM50 each week. Rubber prices are falling in a similar way to petroleum price as a result of the ever-changing global economy. Many Felda and Fekra settlers will rely on rubber, tapping claim that the money they make is insufficient to feed their family. In comparison to the current scenario, even if rubber prices are high, many tappers may still be able to make a living. Some people currently make around RM20 per day and can only manage the rent a property for RM200 per month with that income, while they must rely on the compensation of their already married children for others' needs. Rubber tappers' average salary is currently below the defined level of deep poverty, which should not be taken lightly and necessitates prompt effort to restore income. After reaching a record high of RM7 per kilogram in November 2010, the price of frozen rubber has continued to fall since 2020, resulting in a decrease in the number of rubber smallholders who continue to tap. Because production expands surplus earning, mass frozen rubber machines have gone bankrupt. This occurs, smallholders do not want to tap when prices are down, therefore they must find other ways to make money. Due to the drop in rubber price, suppliers are having trouble finding tappers ready to work for low salary.
Next, I will present about my point, which is the impact of the Rubber Industry Smallholders Development Authority RISDA agency if fails to perform its role on the local community. Smallholder of the Rubber Industry Smallholders Development Authority RISDA throughout the country except in Perlis, Sabah and Penang are now affected by their source of income after their rubber plants suffer from leaf decay on rubber trees, which is Pestalotiopsis. This is because leaf fall disease on rubber trees begins when the fungus Pestalotiopsis infects the leaf, stalks, branches and fruit of rubber trees, where the infection is more concentrated on the leaf. Without immediate action, the income of smallholders will be affected as latex production declines due to the disease. For example, in Pahang, rubber trappers and smallholders complain when they only earn RM8 a day due to the shortfall in commodity price. The second impact is purchasing power is declining. The monthly income of smallholders has been affected due to declining rubber prices. Even in rural areas such as Felda, which has cheap and affordable prices of goods, but it is a problem for smallholders because their purchasing power is declining. This is because as the cost of living increase, so does the purchasing power of consumer. It can be seen that the purchasing power of society is interdependent on the income of the individual. If the income is high, then the purchasing power of the community is also high. It can be concluded that the income of smallholders greatly affect the purchasing power of the population. Smallholders who receive a volatile monthly income on a monthly basis due to the decline in rubber prices have resulted in a reduction in the purchasing power of the population. While the third impact is synthetic rubber artificial price is rise. A very significant problem in the rubber sector is the market price of rubber. Rubber prices are highly dependent on the balance mechanism between demand and supply in the international market. Price instability is a major risk in the commodity market. It can be seen the price of natural rubber is starting to fall as demand slows down. This decline in rubber prices has had a very negative impact on smallholders. As such, the main competitor for natural rubber is synthetic rubber made from petroleum. The fall in the price of natural rubber has caused the price of synthetic rubber to rise sharply above the price of natural rubber. It can be seen that the price of natural rubber will remain high as the price of synthetic rubber is expected to continue to increase above Rm9.20 per kilogram, while the price of natural rubber is expected to remain the same at Rm7.36 per kilogram. And the last impact is causing rubber export and import activities to decline. The decline in rubber production in Malaysia was partly due to the lack of demand from foreign countries due to the fall in rubber prices. The country's natural rubber production in the 6-year period from 2015 to 2021 also recorded a decline in the average annual growth rate of 6.9% from 2015 to 2021. It can be seen that Malaysia is also one of the major rubber exporting countries to China and increased by 18% to Rm6.6 billion or 875,000 tons last year. The fall in rubber prices has led to a lack of competitiveness in terms of the ability to produce natural rubber at a cost comparable to other producing countries that can sell at lower prices to capture the international market, which in turn resulted in a lower contribution to natural rubber export and reduced growth the whole of this sector. The fall in rubber prices was also due to rubber cultivation in Malaysia, which was affected due to the surge in demand and high palm oil prices. This situation has prompted rubber planters to switch to oil palm cultivation, which is seen to be able to provide more stable and continuous returns.
Next, I represent one measure to address the issue of the falling rubber price. Another measure to address the issue of falling rubber price is the use of advanced technology. This is because with the use of technology such as rubber processing machine, it will be easy to produce finished or semi-finished product with more and safer time. For example, the rubber glove product produced can be used in the domestic market or exported abroad so that there is no surplus of rubber that is not used and can even optimize the use of rubber while obtaining high demand. Not only that, cooperation between the world major rubber producing countries, namely Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand, is able to address a low rubber price. The three countries agreed to take a joint measure to address the issue of a low rubber price by increasing domestic rubber consumption in the three countries. For example, through the construction of the road and transportation network, such as the construction of the rubber paved roads for a period of 5 to 10 years. By increasing the domestic consumption in the rubber, it's believed that it will be able to increase the demand for rubber, which will automatically stabilize the price of the commodity. Therefore, the increasing demand for the rubber can re-stabilize the price in the market. Next, the development of entrepreneurs, small and medium industry, aka rubber tappers, and factory operator is also a measure to address the fall in the rubber price. This can be seen through the government assistance to them, such as capital for area, subsidy for rubber fertilizer, and rubber pesticide to control and maintain in the quality of rubber to produce a quality product. For example, in the state of Pahang, there are 40% rubber plantation that are inactive and their production is inconsistent. This is because they do not have the knowledge and capital to use. The yield of the quality rubber will give a positive impact to the operator because it can be optimized the yield of the rubber well and get a lot demand and the market. It is clear that the production of the quality rubber is able to cope with the fall rubber price in the market. That's all for me. Thank you. Moreover, the use of rubber in the infrastructure development can also address the issue of falling rubber price. This is because the use of the rubber as a bearing liner between poles and thread in mass transit MRT construction is the best option. It is to increase the consumption of the rubber at the domestic level, with the government not intending to import rubber products, but waiting them to be produced locally for the local industry. There are various products can be produced through rubber, namely tire, rubber glove, shoes, sport equipment, and more. Therefore, the demand for rubber is increasing, and at the same time can reduce the risk of the rubber supplies, especially in the country. Then the price of rubber will be at a normal level that is not too low and not too high, and can still be controlled by the certain parties.
My name is Nur binti Azmi and my metric number is 278564, and today I want to conclude all the issues that we have been discussed before. Malaysian Rubber Exchange head Ahmad said the fall in prices in the rubber market during 2020 was due to factors such as falling prices in the regional rubber futures market due to significant selling activities and profit taking. In addition, the decline in the world crude oil prices due to concerns about demand for crude oil following the COVID-19 wave that hit European countries and United States. Re-implementation of movement restriction in European countries and the US following the increase in COVID-19 cases. Other factors were the strengthening of the ringgit against the US dollar strength, China-US relations, especially after China implemented national security laws on Hong Kong, and concerns about the economic impact of the second wave of COVID-19. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) expects a global economic recession in 2020 with global gross domestic product (GDP) falling to 4.4%. Next, the decline in the world natural rubber demand followed the movement control order to control the spread of COVID-19 and China's economic recession in the first quarter when GDP fell to 6.8%. This issue is an endless problem if we only focus on the problem we are facing instead of finding a solution. Therefore, in order to stabilize agri-commodity prices in the face of continuing economic challenges, the government has implemented several measures, including exploring new markets through promotional activities. Among the government's incentive to assist the rubber sectors is through the RRI Niaga application, which can be used by licensees to record rubber transactions to speed up the rubber production incentive, which is IPG application process from the Malaysian rubber abroad. The government also implemented the pricing mechanism on farms by providing an allocation of RM 6.4 million as working capital to cooperatives for the purpose of rubber transaction. This mechanism can reduce the layer of buyers and offer the price of scrap rubber at an average of RM 10 cents to 20 cents per kilogram higher than other rubber buyers. Although the rubber market performance this year was less encouraging and faced various challenges such as workers' problems due to travel restrictions imposed to curb the spread of COVID-19, total exports of natural rubber and rubber products for the period January to September 2020 has increased to RM 38 ringgit. 4 billion compared to 29.73 billion in the same period in 2019. Therefore, the side of the government was taking steps and initiative to create demand for rubber raw materials for local use, such as the use of scrap rubber, which is clump, for the road construction in Malaysia to enable the demand for scrap rubber raw material to directly increase the price of rubber. At the same time, those responsible for addressing these issues, such as RISDA, Department of Agriculture, and MRB, will continue to work together in the implementation and transfer of technology, especially in terms of planting materials, good agriculture practice, which is GAP, and latex harvesting technology to rubber smallholders in the state. In addition, he said MRB also always work with the industry, especially these 4SMR manufacturing companies, to ensure the quality could be improved for the sustainability of the industry, especially in Sarawak and Pahang, to ensure that these government programs can be implemented smoothly and effectively. The farmer involved need to give high cooperation and commitment in an effort to reduce the issue of falling rubber prices. The government has also helped smallholders in terms of rubber processing machine assistance to ensure the quality of the rubber pieces produced is good, thin and clean, but some of them mix foreign materials to add weight to the rubber. Apart from that, Ismail also suggested that smallholders change the practice or culture of drying or placing the harvested rubber, either frozen rubber or pieces on the ground, or deliberately mixing any foreign material to avoid the issue of falling rubber prices. The government, through RISDA, will focus on increasing the productivity of rubber farmers throughout the country, which is seen to be able to increase the income of rubber smallholders. Meanwhile, the Minister of Rural and Regional Development, Datuk Seri Muhammad Shafi Abdal, said among the measures that are being actively implemented is through the approach of good agricultural practices, which is GAP, and also the use of high-quality rubber clones. Through increased productivity, the income of smallholders can be offset slightly despite the decline in the rubber prices, and this effort has begun to show a positive impact in increasing the income of smallholders. So the efforts will be implemented by RISDA and also the Ministry to address this price issue so that the smallholder community is not affected by this situation. For the state of Pahang, assistance amounting to RM 19.7 million has been allocated to be distributed to total of 33,314 smallholders and 6,253 tappers. Furthermore, RISDA Pahang has managed to make 100% payment to smallholders, while for the tappers, it has reached 84%. There are about 427,000 smallholders involving a land area about 1.3 million hectares have been applied with GAP practice. So clearly, in the regard, the focus will be given to GAP as a whole through the cultivating movement, stimulant materials use campaign, and good tapping campaign. Apart from that, he said, they also supply quality rubber clones every year to smallholders on an ongoing basis to increase the rubber yields. The implementation of this program is seen to help increase the smallholders, and through the stimulus campaign alone, rubber field can be increased up to 17%. Meanwhile, he said a special payment of RM 500 to 260,000 smallholders and 48,000 rubber tappers affected in the fall in commodity prices will be resolved before Hari Raya Aidilfitri can affect the quality and the price of rubber.